rise. This time I'd like to call on Commissioner Watts for the invocation.
Thank you, Judge. Pray with me, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for the many, many blessings that you give us each and every day, Father. We just ask that your hand be with us, guide us and direct us as we do business for the county this morning. Father, be with all those that protect and serve us, from the Sheriff's Department, Father, and first responders, and the men and women serving around this country that protect us and keep us safe. Father, we just ask that you be with us. You guide and direct us in all we do. Ask that you forgive us of our sins, Father, and where we fell short. These things we ask in the precious name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. If you join the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Texas Pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. Take your seats, please. We are not going to do the presentation to Lynn Nauman today. Lee, we're going. I tried to find he developed some kind of deal in his shoulder, he's got a shoulder problem. Now, this is kind of hard to follow, Sheriff. He was in San Marcos at a conference all week, but he assured me it was his left hand, not his right hand, shoulder that had caused the problem. So maybe a legitimate injury, but not on the job.
That's coronavirus.
Yeah, that could have been with Lyme disease, isn't it? Yeah. All right. Now we're down to public comment. Anyone in the audience have anything to bring up at this time? Okay. Consent agenda. Anything on that to pull out or look at, do different? I have a question on item 3. Now, I can understand, just on question, is it bush hog? I've always called them brush hogs.
Brush hog, but Judge, these were, I wouldn't call them shredders. They were our part, they were in the boneyard.
Oh, okay. Well, you answer more. I just wondered if there was some difference. All of a sudden, we threw bush in there instead of brush.
Well, it's
called both.
It is okay.
You know, they're the kinds. What's the name that's slipping my mind right now? It was just the newer styles. They still had the old style. We didn't have. What's the kind we get, Barry? The good ones. Lee, you bought one. You use them same as I do.
Rhino.
Rhinos, and they were the older style clutches. In those, they still had a few components to them there. And I was putting them in the auction. They wouldn't bring $5. So.
Okay. All right. We have a motion then to approve the consent agenda.
Motion approved.
Second.
Anyone in the audience, any comment on the consent agenda items? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Okay. Item 1 on general business is review and approve the regular bills for payment.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Any comments, questions, anyone on the bills?
Wish they were less.
Yeah. Okay. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item 2 is open and take action as necessary on rental services bids.
Only one. This is one we delayed. This is from our, this will make y'all sick. This is from John Jones, Judge, a large contractor in Pumpkin Center, Texas.
Okay.
Now, let me tell you what you're looking at there, Judge. So
All right.
if you walked backwards, you'd fall off in Adams Creek, but you'd have to walk a football field backwards. So none of that existed. Used to where the box culvert came out, the WPA back in the day built a cement, like y'all have all seen cement irrigation ditches. That's what that was. It carried that water down to Adams Creek. Well, when Lee Road became encumbered with water in between Highway 25 and County Line, and the county quit 25 years ago, quit doing anything with Lee Road, the gophers and everything else undermined the cement ditch, and in time, it's built on really, really Red Rivery sand, and that's why the cement was there for erosion control, and when it turned loose, it washed that canyon, and that's one of the projects we'll tackle here shortly. And John works very closely with Joe Sofall over there. They do a lot of waterway stuff. It's been a good mix, and they've had a lot of discussion about some things that we could shave and hopefully help us a little bit there.
Well, Joe is very good about bringing practical solutions that, and try very hard to make it practical
I
from a
can't-
monetary standpoint.
Yes, and I can't tell you how much, what a good fella this John Jones is. You know, he's a big farmer. He comes from big farming. He understands and knows equipment so well and the uses of them. He's just an honest, good fella. And I think we're fortunate to have him in our area. And he's always done that style of work, I think, as farming as well, and comes from farming family. And
So what we're looking at is hourly rates, correct, Judge?
Right, that's what's on here. And is there a specific project, the one you've got pictured here? And I'm sorry, I
That would
was,
be Buffalo Creek, Judge, is because we know we're gonna break 50, or feel like we will, or totter around it. And then the county line project, we know that it would add to him as a single contractor.
That's the original level of the ditch.
Yes, that's
Concrete's
right,
broken
Mark.
off and falling
What-
down, you know.
And so those are his.
It's-
Now,
it's dropped
he
down
shaves
16.
off because Jack can get in
Yeah,
any
it's all
piece of
dirt.
equipment
It's
he's
under-
got. And
Just flow this way.
so he
Flow
shaves off, he noted, that,
$30 an hour off if you
And then-
supply the operator.
I think we've got everything we have to have for it, which all the infrastructure is already in place on my yard, for it. But I'm just trying to beat the spring rain. And that's our next project to move over. And then Barry, well, I'm getting off track, but that milling machine was moving, as well, and he put that price in there, Judge, on that trailer.
Okay.
Trailering that. Isn't it 80 an hour, Lee? Who has the bid?
I do, it's $200 an hour.
For the trailer?
Heavy hauling, it says heavy hauling trucking, up to 90,000 pounds, $200 an hour.
I still think that's the way to go. You know, like, when I come to Iowa Park and get those little fingers that I have to do, which, Barry, I have to coordinate, I need to show you and see if what you're doing in close proximity. I do have to close one or two of them back up, but they're, 3 football field lengths of stuff that I've got to do, and then I can pass that machine to you.
We're in the same shape, we'd probably do everything we're gonna do in a day, I'm thinking.
That's actually favorable.
Yeah.
One thing I want to point out in this, Barry, it says that there is no minimum rental term required in this proposal. If a machine is used, it will be invoiced by the hour for 15-minute intervals. Machines available on location but not being used will not be invoiced for inactive time. Only actual hours of operation will be invoiced. That's really a huge plus for us.
It's huge and it's
Are
not
the-
standard in a good way.
No, it's not standard.
Is that engine hours then?
Yes, it would be.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I
Yeah.
thought that's what, but it
So
doesn't say
everything
it.
will be, the only time you get outside the engine hour deal basically is when you get into like a harvesting deal or something where you've got, but this other stuff, it's running, it's working, other than warming it up and cooling it down.
transportation cost will not be charged if the machine is used for a minimum of 3 hours per location.
That's big too.
That's big too.
Yeah.
Well, we can't own the trailer to move that machine. I don't think, do you?
No,
No,
We can't own
I
it.
don't.
no,
If
my
Lee-
trailer was big, my trailer was big, and it just ain't,
But-
my trailer would work if we modified the
Yeah.
fenders over the wheels.
Yeah, but I'm afraid that if we do that, we're just cutting the value of Lee's trailer to do that, when we're better off when time expires and we got to take our best one, or we upgrade,
Well, it's-
use
I see
it
what you
that,
mean.
go at that time if we want to, and we're still using the milling deal.
Well, it's a,
The-
what, two-month deal, maybe.
Yeah, really and truly. And see, we'd probably all be through with it. The problem that I'm running into, and I did what Barry said, take the backhoe, I have no base, which wouldn't bother me. They'd be fine and dandy.
You cored it, is what you did.
Yeah, and I have no base, and all that means is I'm gonna have to put the base down. I wanna put the base down, but there's no sense in doing it when I've got this other project and allocating money in a different direction. If I could zip it up and pack it real good and drive on the material, the problem is none of my roads have more than an inch on them.
Well, you can't just cover them with, base material, you gotta zip them up, because if you do, you form a.
You don't have to zip them, you can rip them.
You can rip them, yeah, and that's where he is.
You just can't leave them flat like that and put base on them, they won't adhere to each other. But you can
Okay.
rip 'em.
Do you want to take action on this or take it under advisement?
No, I think we take action on it and move
Okay.
on, Judge. I'd make that motion.
All right.
Second.
So let me follow this from your budget standpoint. You're going to get out of the ripping, so is someone else going to pick that
Barry wants it next.
zipper?
and
I
then-
told you I wanted it next.
Well, whichever one, y'all.
We're only talking about one day.
But I'm over.
Yeah, but you're
I'm
only
mo-
part-time help.
I'm moving over there, Lee, to catch, what's our friend down, Mark Smith's, down that very end there,
Right.
Judge the winery. That road, it's real bad, about
It
2
is.
football fields down there. And then I got a little bit on, Peterson around the curve, and I got a little bit on Horseshoe Lake from 367 down to the homeowners. I've got to do that one, and I'm just gonna have to put the base in there, and I may can get Jerry to help me cover them up and go ahead and do them when it's right, but that little jag is all I got to do, and I can't, my intention was to cut some of them up at Electra, but if I cut many miles of milling them up with,
You don't have the funds.
I don't have the funds to lay the base in there, which I want to do. I want to put the base in, but I know it's not going to be ideal for me to do it this year.
In fact, if we all jumped on that little area out there, we might get it all done in one day.
Oh, yeah, we really could.
And that
Okay.
would be huge, and move it on. Something we need to look at.
All right. Any questions, comments from anyone in the audience on this item? Okay. Motion by Commissioner Watts, second by Commissioner Muller to accept the bid presented. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 3 is discuss, consider, take action to award the RFP for LEC Furniture. There have been some issues arise in those bids. We're not going to take any action right now. We're going to review with council on a question that was posed, and then we'll bring it back to the court or cancel that bid and go out for more. We'll just have to look at it and see. Bill, did you have any question on that? Okay. Item 4 is discuss, consider, take action on proposals from the ThyssenKrupp Elevator, I hope I said that right, ThyssenKrupp Elevator Corporation to modernize elevator equipment in the courthouse at a cost of $404,448, and the courthouse annex at a cost of $156,786 to be paid from the Permanent Improvement Fund. Commissioner Beecham.
Yes, Judge, this is on a similar program to buy board called Omnia Partners, which is a government co-op. So it's been bid for other agencies. have Glenda Ramsey would brought her in to speak on this, since she's the most familiar with what we're doing here, so.
What that does include at the courthouse is the 2 elevators that are in the front here. It completely replaces those elevators, the cabs, the whole functionality of those 2 elevators. You can't really do one without doing the other, they're sort of combined, and so it does both of those. Over at the annex, it's the front elevator. We had a price also for the back elevator, but that's just the front elevator that number is for. There would be some additional costs for some architectural features, because at each of the landings, where the buttons in the hall things are gonna be, and even the surrounding doors and everything, is how that all works. So there will be, the walls at each of the landings will be affected, and so there's some additional costs for some architectural painting and things that has to be done, and demolition and things at each of the landings. And so that's the elevator cost. There's a little bit larger cost, not larger cost, a little additional cost for other issues.
On the building side.
On the
On the building
But
side,
this,
correct.
I mean, we're talking $100,000 or?
No, we had anticipated for the, at the courthouse, approximately in the realm of like $45,000. And then at the, annex, like $20,000. And so it, combined, not even $100,000.
And these numbers don't include our architect fees either, do they? And that's gonna add what to the cost? So we're 550, let's say, on the elevator project here, add in another 70, so we're 620, let's just say. Then what architectural should come home around where?
We generally put in for engineering fees, if there's any sort of engineering fees on this, I'm not sure what they would be. For estimating purposes, because if there's any kind of, if there's not any geotech or any other things, we generally estimate at 15%, but our fee is not 15%. And so, but 15% is what we just estimate, so that it includes.
Okay.
But then there would be the ADA inspection report and that sort of thing that we would have to do. And so that engineering fees includes those type of.
But you think that we would be in the ballpark of less than $750,000,
I believe
all
so.
said, all done?
Yes.
And now, on that note there, would we be able, and Willie, you may have to help us on this, we be able to reach into our tax-free note monies, reimburse ourselves moving forward with this, if we so choose? Is the timeline such that we could do that if needed?
I don't know the tax note implications, and I don't know that time frame on that.
I was thinking
What was-
90 days, wasn't it?
I think that's it. What was said in that, you put that in your proposal that you're going to be reimbursed for
Yes,
that.
and Mark has it included in our scope of coverages in the list of things. And we have the money to underwrite ourselves here, but we might want to pull the funds from that note as well. It just,
Well, it would be good to do that because of those time frames on that spending of that money, unless if we draw here, here, and here, that 3-year period starts different, but I think it's from the beginning.
yeah.
The only thing we'd be saving is the interest expense on that money that we,
It's my understanding, this does not address the basement.
no, it does not.
It does
No,
not.
no,
See
it
that?
just, it takes care of the
Just
existing
exactly
elevators
what
only.
they cover right now, it would only, no new stops, no new
Yeah.
anything like that, just
Well, we're gonna have to work that into the program sometime,
I think we're talking about a ramp.
are we not?
well, the ramp is a lousy idea.
It is.
it takes too much real estate. We talked about the chair thing, like over the school district, you don't think they'll accept that, then could we look at an elevator in that closet area right next to those stairs? That would just go from here to there.
Yeah, we've not thoroughly investigated what that would cost to do a one-stop elevator that would just go two stops, one and the two, but, basically just to go down that amount and how much it would cost, what it would take to get it there, everything else like that, we can, versus a ramp that would be, you know,
Yeah,
switch back and switch back.
you'd think you're in Western Virginia.
No, it just consume a bunch of real estate. And guys, we know that's coming.
It's gonna be a lot cheaper than putting in an elevator.
Well, I know it is, but if we're gonna do this project, let's not make sure we don't leave that laying on the table when we could have added it for.
Well,
X
Mark was
amount
gonna
of
put an elevator across from the elevator, it's kinda where the drawings are for the sheriff's department. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And that would've went down, but that was over $1 million.
No, it's a $3 million.
That's
$3 million, $3 million.
But
The,
Linda,
the elevators we've got right now, there's no way we can address the basement because they don't. It's not, we can't do it, but we know that project's coming.
You can only have people under 4 foot getting out.
but what about so the gymnasium, W.F. George Gymnasium at the old high school in Owl Park had similar issue, and we had the traveling platform. Is that not conducive to
There-
this thing?
There are, it's called a Lula, and there are exceptions and rules when they can be used, when they can't be used. And this does not really apply to when they could be used.
Why?
They're just, that's.
Amount of
the rules
traffic and
that
I would
not
assume
only-
I mean, but common sense can't go out the window, Glenda,
Wait a minute, you're wrong. You're talking about the federal government rules for us, not for themselves.
but I mean,
We can apply for a variance.
What about those
We can
chairs
through
that go up and down
process.
the stairwell, that you see people sit on them and
well,
just?
that's what she's,
No,
in
no.
essence, that's what she's talking about, Lee.
No,
No.
those don't apply.
Well-
Those are not ever.
Well, but what you're
Not in a
talking about is
commercial.
an alternative to an elevator that travels, in that
A
regard, but
small, right.
I can't believe they'd say, leave it like it is, and nobody can use it, other than making an alternative use that all people can use. That just makes zero sense to me. And it would be like, well, we have this, we put it in there, we don't care whether you gave us your permission or not gave you permission, but now all people have access to it, and if you remove it, not all people have access to it. So, I mean,
Which puts you
the
out of
ball should be in there.
But
Well, that's really nice, that's really nice, but there's a fine that comes along with that.
What do you mean?
Is it cheaper than
Give me a ticket.
$1,000 a day.
Yeah.
For every day it's in there.
Well,
Because it makes it accessible to all people. Just think about it. This is a
We're
law
not,
making it
we're not
accessible
arguing,
to all
Jeff,
people.
we're not arguing.
I
We're
agree
not
with you,
arguing.
but.
We get what you're saying, but if it's not for the rules, they will find you. You can't just do what you want and thumb
But
your
I
nose
think
at it.
that we can write a variance to it, though.
I didn't mean to throw a monkey wrench in discussion, but it just, I think we've got to at least
I
consider,
agree.
you know, that, we know that's coming. And I also know we've got to address our elevator situation that we're in now because it's on.
But that's separate and apart from this, right?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
okay,
that's
the,
separate from that. But it's just, it's the bigger issue coming
Texas
up.
Department of Licensing and Regulations, TDLR, regulates accessibility in the state of Texas. And they're the ones that set the guidelines and the set of rules, and they have full authority over it. Full authority over it. And you have to live with their rules.
One other question at the annex, are we gonna be able to take that ramp out on the bottom floor? Get that to ground level?
Yeah, well, we're
We're
modifying.
gonna work on it. We're gonna modify it so that it.
See, I hate to go through this expense and then we'll still wind up with that albatross.
It's
around.
gonna look way different than it does right now.
That's really not, I understand that was an add-on deal and accommodations had to be made, but when you're going in and redoing, that's when you wanna try to straighten those up if you can. That's just, it's not a good scenario, but
what is, what is triggering that? Because it was a few years ago, but we did significant work on that elevator.
That elevator?
Mm-hmm.
From what I understand, that is still a like 1960 version elevator, and it's been worked on, but it's not been replaced in those parts.
Oh, no.
Eddie Trigger won't ride it. He will not ride that elevator.
We spent about it was less than 100,000 on it, but we did do some major things to work on the lift pump and all that stuff, I thought.
It's in bad shape.
Okay, I agree with that.
But Glenda, can we not at least put together the thought of what variance is required and whether they would or wouldn't accept, and if we could qualify under some guise to go ahead and at least make the bottom?
I have looked at and read and looked into already starting a variance application for that, but whether it would be accepted or not is beyond me.
Sure, but at least we have a plan going forward.
Yes, I'm going to do that, and I'll give it my darndest. Every time we do a renovation in this courthouse, we have to do one, because those elevators, even though we're fixing to fix them again, they're still not going to be compliant. And so we will continue until doomsday to have to do a variance every time we do any kind of renovation in this courthouse over $50,000, because those elevators will never be compliant. They're not large enough to be compliant.
My
And
only,
we can't blow out the structure on either side of those elevators. We're putting new elevators in there, and we're going to make them better compliant. We're going to improve their, what they've got.
Reliability.
Well, the reliability and the location and the braille and the functionality of the accessibility points on there, but they will never be fully compliant because the size of them is not what they need to be, because we can't blow out the structure.
But what is, so between the two stairwells, and before I step down to David's office, or before I go up to Meredith's old office there, that pier, I'm assuming it's a pier that sits in between them. And I know when you're at David's level, at his door, there's a closet there of some, we can't encumber some of those stairwells, even if it was both sides, to some extent, and make that so you walk off of that floor of security floor and drop down half a level to David's floor in that area right there, that just be a half traveling elevator of sorts.
You can, but you'll pay a full elevator price for it.
Well, it wouldn't be as expensive as a 10-story elevator.
You'd be surprised.
well, you got all the mechanisms.
You got, yeah, you're,
But, Glenda, I would go back to say,
But-
what is that cost of a
that's the
half-story
thing.
elevator?
What is that cost? Because if we aren't gonna be able to get a variance to get the deal that you roll your wheelchair on and go down, then what is that? Given them, if that becomes the district clerk's office area and becomes the jury assembly area, you're gonna have a lot of traffic in there.
Well, I can find out.
Okay?
Because
My only-
it can be a top of an elevator where you can enter from the front and exit in the back.
Right.
Or do something similar to
Sure.
like that.
I just didn't wanna see us spend $750,000 and then come back, when maybe for another 100, we could have added the whole project in.
When we have elevator people on
While
the
we've got
side.
them on site, got everything tore up, and then come back a year from now, we've got another 500,000 or 700,000. That's my concern.
Yeah.
While we're doing it, it's like working on a piece of equipment, you got it split apart, and you're paying $10,000 worth of labor, and if you'd have just put that other $20 bearing in there, it would have lasted another 10 years, but you didn't, and you got another $10,000. You understand what I'm saying?
I do, but I don't think it's quite as simple as that.
Okay.
Because it will be a whole nother, we will have to do, there'll be structure involved and a lot of things. Whereas when they come to do these elevators, they're not going to involve any of that. They'll just come in and replace what is there.
What was so where David's area is in that lower tier, what was the concept there? Is the security lobby taller because it's the original structure, or? Okay, so what was what was the thought process that took it down half a level?
It's
To
just
begin
the
with.
two-
None of us were alive. That, we weren't alive. I think of all the old school, everything built below, half a story below surface. Why they did that?
As deep as they could dig, Judge. I think
Oh.
that might be the deal.
I've got a copy of the original floor plans of the courthouse when it was built. In the basement area down there, back area from where our suite is now, was the colored restrooms
Well, but
in the basement.
they had those on the second and third floor also.
They did,
Yeah,
somewhere around for that.
along with the water fountains. I can remember seeing the labels on them.
Right.
Okay, but why were so many buildings, you look at the old schools in town, they're below surface? Which doesn't sound like, I don't know what the reasoning was for that.
Back in those days, before air conditioning, you'd one office in the basement.
That would make it clear.
Well,
Maybe.
maybe they were digging down to the hard pans.
I'm telling you, that's as deep as they could dig. They didn't have big excavators back then. It was Fresno and a team of horses.
Storm shelter, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we do have tornadoes around here.
Yeah, we've had those a long
When
time.
they did the addition, I'm sure to save money, they just did it on ground level instead of,
So the lobby is the addition, the security lobby is the addition to the
Right.
older, David's is an older
Exactly.
wing.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's probably 1916 foundation original.
Yeah, the,
What is, how much of a ramp would come off there? I know. we
it's
talked
about 4 foot difference, so that's a minimum of 48 feet, but you've gotta have a landing of 5 foot every 30 feet, so you've got a 5 foot landing at the top, in the middle, and at the end, so it's 45 feet plus an additional 15 feet, so you're talking 60 feet of ramp.
Could go slide, or something.
Yeah, we can do, have
Willie used to have a ramp, a stainless steel ramp. You remember that? Put this ramp up there? Yeah.
Well, the ramp would just, it'd kill that.
But I just wonder,
space in that area.
I wonder, Glenda, in the, what do y'all call the office? It's security office that's to your side of the elevator?
Oh, that actually is used to be the telephone rooms for all the telephone lines. And security just kind of morphed into it, could have a place to eat lunch where it originally started.
Okay.
And
Well-
it's so,
But Glenda, is it not even a possibility there, the modification of that elevator, the one that's closest to the sheriff's office, going down half a tier farther than what it goes down today, and open on the side into the booking?
The two elevators that are there
yeah,
could not
90-degree turn.
expand into that area. The elevator, would have to be, to fit right there, would have to be a front and a side open elevator. And the shafts are not capable of holding a front open and a side open, which is possible, but that's a very unique type of
You
elevator.
wouldn't have to if you excavated over to where the elevators are,
The-
like where the steps.
The shaft itself that holds a front open and then a side open elevator has to, because a normal elevator, these elevators, they run up and down on rails on the side. It's not a piston from the bottom, they run up and down on rails from the side. So if you've got rails from the side that's running, that elevator's running on, and now you wanna open a door on the side,
No, open the door to the front, excavate over there to it, is what I'm saying. Cut out into that deal and let that elevator come down another stop and you've got.
You just have a stem wall up on the, you have a stem wall that keeps people from falling off into the,
Where those steps are, you just dig over in front of the elevator and let that thing open to the front.
You start working on today, you need to.
Yeah.
well, okay, the other thing in all of this,
I can't answer these questions.
I mean, I know that sounds wild, but boy, that would be a simple solution.
You take, yeah, half them stairways can be taken in, cut right back in there.
Just cut back in there and let the elevator come down, let the door
Even-
open on the same side.
yeah, it
and
would
walk
even
out.
be like a box culvert, if you would,
Every
underneath your
utilities are
floor.
gonna be in there that we're gonna have to move.
Well, we don't know, I'm
We
just
don't
saying
know.
we ought to
Okay.
explore that. We ought to look at that.
I just don't think that it would be as simple as what you.
no, I don't think,
Oh, I don't think it'll be simple, Glenda, but it would be a fix.
The
It would
other-
be a fix for.
It's an option.
It's an option.
maybe it's not.
The other thing we've got to look in this, when you start messing with that area, that's your main entrance in and out. And I think possibly until we get the sheriff's office moved, and that puts us into 2021, I don't know if you can handle the disruption of courthouse traffic if you were trying to do that third elevator idea.
Well, I agree, but I don't think we have an extra $1 million to spend on it either.
Well,
I mean, disruption is a bad thing,
but I mean, you're talking
that's
about,
pretty disruptive in itself.
it is, but I just can't see how that we can change that. And
Well, I'd hate to
I don't
see
think
it.
we have the wood left from the old skateboard ramp up to the second floor.
And my point is, I'd hate to see us just dismiss that option,
Yeah,
and it wound up being something that would really work and work slick, and you know, and I'm not, yeah, it's always harder than it sounds. It always-
Linda is opposed to it because she didn't think of it first.
No, she's not.
We've talked about every imaginable concept for that elevator and what we could do.
And yes, it would be disruptive. You're
yeah.
right.
Either way we go, if we want to continue to use those two elevators in any capacity, they haven't had any kind of serious replacement or upgrade since 1961, so
It's time.
it's kind of
So do you have a motion on it?
64.
Well, I don't know as we,
Floor, we got a new floor.
no, we don't have a motion, but are we,
We still have the rings for the.
As long as our option's in place the money, I'm all for moving forward with this deal. I just want the option available to back pay us if we have to.
So you would add language.
Yes, but it's already part of our notes, so, I mean, we left elevators in our,
That sheet I gave you, I don't think it was on
no,
there.
it didn't have them on there.
we need to,
We can put them in.
yeah, it'd be for alternative, because we may want to do phase two option out of that money, so it
Well,
needs to
yeah,
be.
maybe that other addition could be a phase two of this same project.
Could be.
Well, we still gotta go through the waiver situation and
Sure.
all that. We don't know
No.
yet which way to go.
Sure. So,
So we've already started down that road.
So that may help us, while we're getting all that waiver, if they consider it, then by the time we get the note put in place, we may already be there.
Sure.
The other thing I want to be sure and come back and tell the court, you know, Commissioner, you brought up the other day, well, we've got nearly $3 million set in the permanent improvement fund. The majority of that money we transferred in there from general fund balance that was not carried over from previous permanent improvement fund money. It was brought out of, so we've reduced our fund balance from about 24, give or take a little bit, to about 21, give or take a bit. So as we look at borrowing money, we need to really be, you know, we need to have 3 to 6 months of operating funds on hand. We operate at better than $50 million a year. We're starting to crowd that.
well,
You gotta figure that payment
I mean,
in that deal.
I know it's good to have the, 3 months seems like that's old school now, and everybody says 6, but let's just say push came to shove, and the state informed us that, we're not gonna operate as a county anymore. Would we literally spend every dime before we went to the House? Would we say, or would we tell everybody, go home, we'll call you if it gets better? Because, and then give the money back to the taxpayer, that is their money to begin with, it's not our money, but give it back to theirs under the mathematical equation of everybody's percentage that they paid into that to begin with. Would you literally spend it to zero before we all went home and turned out the lights?
Well, I don't know, is Bernie's going to be the county judge then, but
Bernie?
I'll explain to you later. At any rate, I'm just saying, if the state does some move like that, they're going to have already figured out having that same move to capture every county's reserve funds and all that. But that, I agree with you, more people are moving towards 6, but right now, the Government Accounting Standards Bureau says 3 to 6 months. And that's where Standard & Poor's and them all rate you is what
Yes,
do you have?
And we want to continue to receive.
Yes,
in the-
and so I'm just saying that money that we're talking about in permanent improvement fund, we moved over there in case we had something come up we had to do. Then we had the money budgeted instead of having it where we couldn't get to it without declaring an emergency.
It has saved our bacon
Yeah.
several times.
But I'm just telling you, what we budgeted in there to spend, we taxed for at, well, 1.2 million was going into there, that was new money.
Yeah, and Judge, on that order, and that's my contention here on the note replacement, in lieu of, because, guys, we can't put money back. We can spend $1 million out of permanent improvement, and I'm all for it, and that's what the money's there to do. What we can't do, that changed last year on us, is replace it. We can't put it back in there without a large, without a tax increase that we don't need the money for. That's the only way that we can put money back, is by taxing the taxpayer for projects we don't even have budgeted.
Well, you're capped at a rate lower than inflation.
That's right,
And
and
that's
so,
where the problem comes in. You're gonna consume that much of the budget just a normal inflation rate.
That's right.
That's why you can't replace it.
That's
And,
exactly right.
And we're capped there, so.
Okay,
Well, we
but,
also have fallout, Judge.
but that's fallout back to what you have moved over to cover.
We've taxed.
No, above the tax. You're transferring every year, we have done that. About 20% of that budget is covered out of reserve funds because we don't know we can't say how many people are going to be in the jail. We can't say how much all of our indigent defense costs, indigent medical. I mean, there's so many unknowns in a county budget, so that's why we use those fund balances to bring back in. So the fallout hopefully is above that number, so that you're only spending 75%. But one of the things we need to look at this, and this is going to be our last chance to bite this apple. And what I'm saying, we leave that penny plus going into the permanent improvement fund each year, and we borrow the money under the interest and sinking fund, which right now is not controlled by the legislature, by that action. And it's a short duration, but it's the only opportunity we're going to have at that, because I'm going to tell you, they're going to take that away from us if they get a chance.
It's already in the works.
Yeah. So, okay, if we're taking action on this, we're then approving up to, we're going to have to add to that if you're going to
So
approve.
that won't cover it.
No, what you've got there, plus
I
we
would
need.
say $750,000,
Yeah.
not to exceed $750, and for the additional items that Glenda spoke about. And then with the thought of adding to our
Scope of the note.
scope of the note.
Yeah. You like that?
Yes. So moved, Judge.
Thanks, sir. Is there a
Second.
second? Okay.
And that would be.
Any
purchased
comment from the audience?
We've confused everybody.
Well, we started out confused and we got it,
We did.
we got
We
it
just moved right
perfected.
on down the road.
All right.
So the plan is to pay this for permanent improvement and then reimburse from the note
Yes, sir.
once those proceeds are received?
Right, and then in reality of all these things, we get that, so we're meeting that spending deadline. Hopefully, we'll keep that captured, so if we need it on the far end of all this construction, then we've got that.
And Judge, the danger of this thing putting it off, and I think we're all very much aware of this, with the elevators like they are, I mean, at any time, you could lose access or partial access to the other floor. It's a serious situation.
It is.
It really is.
I just worry about some of the things in the current jail here and Sprague, that we can make it to, yeah,
We've already had one yet, so.
yeah,
Or more than one, but one big one.
yeah.
We're trying to avoid all the icebergs right now.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Slow down and keep moving through it.
The only backup we got is the one next to it, which is in the same shape it's in. We don't have another one over here somewhere we can divert
Yeah.
to if we get that done.
All right. Got a motion by Commissioner Watts, second by Commissioner Beecham, to approve up to $750,000 be paid out of the Permanent Improvement Fund for elevator projects in the courthouse and in the courthouse annex on Scott Street. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Linda, thank you very much for being here. You got any comments you want to make on item number 6, which is during Commissioner Beecham's update on Law Enforcement Center? Anything since you're here?
They are moving in phenomenal speed now. Things have, it seemed like it was going a little slow for a while, but now that they've started getting the roof on, the masonry contractor is doing a phenomenal job. They are truly, I can't express how impressed I am with those guys.
Yeah, the masonry contractor is doing a phenomenal job.
Phenomenal job. And, the drywall's coming in, and we've just got Gates and MF Litigant have put together a really good group of subs. The mechanical, electrical, we've got quite a few local subs on the job. They're all doing a really good job. They, very conscientious. We get to hear each week not to call it the State of the Union or whatever, but Joe Rykoff, the safety coordinator, likes to tell us how the job is doing as far as safety goes, and they're extremely proud of the safety record that is going on out there. With as many people that are on that job and as much going on from up high to ground level, how somebody has not run into each other, or, I mean, I don't even know that anybody's, had a hangnail out there.
Linda, that's because they have been trained.
Trained and trained and trained
Yes.
again.
And watched over and,
They barricade the area when they're working overhead. I mean, it's all about communication. I've been on those job sites for years, and the amount of training that those contractors get to be safe is unbelievable, how much they go through.
They do weekly trainings, and they're constantly training those guys, and they're, very, very conscientious about everybody that walks on that job site. Make sure that they've had the training seminar before you even get to walk on that job site. I've been on job sites for years and years and years too, but I got to go through the training also before I could even walk on that job site.
All of us did it too.
We did too.
Yep.
My sticker number is 100.
Yeah.
And so they're doing a very good job. We've got, some of the steel cells in now, and they look great, and they're starting to, prepare for the second set of cells that will be coming in, and it's coming along. Everything takes time, but it's coming along.
it's like an anthill. It's that much activity. It's exactly what it looks like.
Though, we walked through it like Friday, but I had walked through it Wednesday, and from Wednesday to
Oh, yeah.
Friday, it's like, when did that get there? It's amazing how much you just blink, and
I walked it after 5 o'clock Friday, and there was still activity all over the building.
they're working early in the morning till late in the evening. They're sometimes 7, 8 o'clock at night.
We did, just to continue, we approved the Dantex texturing last week for the gun range. Well, they started applying the paint, exterior paint in the Dantex this week, and we've had to go several rounds before we were able to get it where we were happy with it.
You're talking about the training facility?
Well, no, on the LEC itself, they were starting the exterior painting with the texturing. We had to go through several trial and error periods before we were able to agree with the contractor that they got it to a point where we were happy with it.
The contractor actually purchased a new piece of equipment because the piece of equipment that he had was not applying it with as good of thick coverage of the stippling, the sand type of texture on there that we wanted. And so he went out and purchased a new piece of equipment to utilize, and he Judge, if they're.
Oh, yeah, they're bending over backwards.
Bruises.
When we point out something that we're not entirely happy with, they've gone to whatever lengths that we require to get it there, so.
That's good. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else, Commissioner, on that item?
No, sir, no.
Okay.
Could I make one more comment on
Yes, sir.
item 4?
Yes, sir.
I would really appreciate at least taking an informal look at that basement elevator deal, about what we talked about. And I mean, I'm not the kind of guy, I don't like to say, well, we can't do that. Well, let's look. Let's take a look.
No, we're looking at every option as we
Okay.
develop.
Because that would just be so much better than a ramp or anything else we could do down there.
We've sat and brainstormed all kinds of different things
Yeah.
for that, so.
Let's at least look, and then we'll, I understand it may not work. I understand that completely, so, anyway,
Okay. Yes, sir. Okay, item number 5.
that's a simple one.
Discuss, consider take action to transfer a 2001 Mack dump truck.
Yes.
Number VIN 138300 to precinct 3 from precinct 4 for offered trade-in value of $12,500 to be transferred from precinct 3 to the Joint Road and Bridge precinct.
So that was a truck that didn't
Yeah.
fit Jeff's needs, and boy, we can use it, and that's gonna keep me from buying a $100,000 dump truck somewhere down the road, so we think it's a bargain, it's a great truck. I drove it myself, and, we're tickled to do it. I'd make a motion, we approve that.
Good enough? All right. Any comment, anyone in the audience? Well, with your leftover money, can you buy a used pickup for Commissioner Harvey?
Precinct 2.
Okay.
Well, there actually is no leftover.
Oh, okay.
We had to wheel and deal to get this through.
Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. We are down to anyone from the audience, county officials. Anybody have remarks to make?
We could give him some
Bob?
actual dump truck to drive. That might work.
Yes, sir.
You wanna talk about Janice?
When did you start running this meeting?
No, I was gonna use them public comments. I was gonna ask you, Bob.
Okay, we'll get there.
Oh, it's just not this portion.
It is, but I bet you Bob can stand up. Mr. Hampton, go ahead and do that, please. You, go ahead about Judge Sons or anything else you had on your mind.
Well, this is March the 2nd, by the way, and we've got 4 more days of men standing at the Alamo in 1836. Is that, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah.
Be
Most
fine.
of those guys were.
Just don't bring us from there up to here, please, okay?
But tell that story.
Yes, it did in 1845. Saturday night, we said goodbye once again to a dear friend, Judge Janice Sons, out at Woman's Forum. Had a great meal, we had a great presentation. Judge Gossett spoke, I thought for a minute there that he might be a Baptist minister, but there was no collection. And Lee was there, Chris was there, James was there, and,
Well, the place was packed.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was packed.
It was
Yeah.
packed.
Had a good turnout, and actually, the lady that led off, Mrs., what was her name?
Gwen Bevel, or no,
No,
oh,
no.
no, the other
The first
Janice.
lady.
Quinn Bevel came all the way
Yeah.
in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
wow.
and
But
there,
the first lady was
she
great.
was the MC,
Janice, yeah.
it was.
Another Janice.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But she was great.
she was, the whole thing was just perfect, and it was
Yeah.
just a perfect send-off, because everybody was laughing, it was just a good mental break.
Everybody had pictures on their tables. They could take them if they wanted them. I took this one to Janice. They just looked like her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was a fun deal.
She had a blast.
okay. Anyone else? All right, Commissioner Beecham.
Yeah, Friday I got to represent Wichita County and with WFISD and their digital learning day. I'll tell you, my eyes were open to see all the different various ways that they have for our kiddos to learn. It's not the standard boy-girl seating any longer. Classrooms now have 4 or 5 different seating options. So kids can get comfortable and find their place. They're a safe space to learn in. I was very impressed. There were rocking chairs that sit on the floor. There were beanbag chairs. There were traditional desks. There were desks that were whiteboards that they could work the math problems out on the dry erase desk. I got in trouble for drawing on desks, but they were encouraged to draw on the desks. And the technology that they have, learned that Wichita Falls
It's like putting
ISD
saran wrap instead
is
of
the
your
number one
green
ISD
thing
in
from
the
Winky
country,
Day, could
and
you?
maybe in the world for Google certified instructors. So most of their instructions now on a Google Chromebook. So they have the largest amount of instructors in the country that are Google certified. And they believe they may be in the world, so. But it's very different than what we had when we were in school. So imagine mimeograph test or mimeograph homework, and kid does it, turns in their homework. It may be 3 days before they get feedback. Now they do it on a worksheet on their laptop. If they don't get the answer right, they know immediately they don't have the answer right. They raise their hand, the teacher comes over and points out, hey, this is what you're not understanding, and they work through it. So the kids are getting immediate feedback, and they can move on, and they know the stuff before they move on to the next area. But I was just really impressed with the differences of the classrooms, how far they've come since the old Stone Age when we were there.
Burke Burnett just built a new school, Overton Ray Elementary
Yeah,
School. And we toured that thing, and it's exactly like what you're talking
Yeah.
about. All different kinds of chairs for kids, and
yeah.
bright colors, and it's just an open, it was really totally different than the way the first concept judge that we ever had in Wichita Falls like that, and y'all may remember this, they built a junior high out on Loop 11 called Northwest Junior High. And it had no walls inside of it. It was one great big deal, and the bathrooms had walls.
Yeah.
They just had partitions between the classrooms. Big, wide open concept, and I thought, this is gonna be but it wasn't.
Well, you got to go there. It's Kirby now.
Yeah, it's Kirby
Got to
Junior.
visit Judge's alma mater, Kerrigan.
Mm-hmm.
And Kerrigan is now the Gifted and Talented Center.
We were gifted and talented, but
Yeah,
not the right things
yeah,
when I went
I
there.
was a little, I went there too in high school, but they bring gifted and talented kids over, and one of their projects is to make themselves a superhero. So they have to tell the story of their superhero self. They design their superhero, and they cut it out in a 3D printer, so by the end of the class, they've got a figurine of themselves as a superhero, and have the whole storyline and everything that goes along with it. So it's just way different learning experience than what I had anticipated seeing.
So
Chris,
Judge, if you
anything
were
else?
gonna be a superhero, which superhero would you be?
Gavel Man.
Yeah,
Gavel Man.
yeah, okay,
Santa Claus,
yep,
he's pretty super.
yeah, yeah. All right, anything else, Commissioner?
No, sir.
Commissioner Harvey?
At Burke Burnett, at our church, we have a group that works on a project called Operation Christmas Child, OCC. And what it is we pack shoeboxes full of just everything from crayons and colored books, literature, clothes, shoes, medicine bottles full of fish hooks. It's just, you wouldn't believe all the things that they could pack in this one big shoebox. And it cost us $15 to ship this shoebox each. It's amazing what one little church can do. And these shoeboxes go to third world countries all over the world. And our little church packed and shipped 5,400 and something shoe boxes last year. So we started over in January, and we had a little packing party yesterday for 3 hours, and we packed over 400 boxes. Gathering all that stuff up to go in those boxes is a huge chore. Walmart works with us really well. We can buy clothing for like $1, sometimes 50 cents for children. It goes in these boxes. But I had no idea how big this ministry was. I mean, it goes all over the world. And some places, when they open up that box, everybody gets a Bible. There's a Bible in the box. And sometimes it's the first time these people ever heard the word Jesus Christ. It just doesn't exist where they live. So it is pretty cool. And to have a group that does that much. When we very first started, we did 300 boxes. We were proud of that. 300 boxes, that's a lot. We just did over 5,000. So anyway, it's kind of cool. I'm just wanted to give a shout out for my church, the First Baptist here in Burton, for doing that. I'm proud of them for it. So
Okay.
other than that, we're gonna have a birthday party in June for members of our church. We'll have 3 ladies that are gonna be 100 years old.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
In our church. And they're still blowing and going. It's really cool.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, that's it, Judge.
Okay. Commissioner Motley?
I just hope that with all those educational upgrades, we'll remember to teach those kids how to count back change. But, I'm not sure you can do that. Well, actually, I think they're doing it digitally now, and it's not working. No, you don't take away from what they're doing, but boy, sometimes the old,
Or
learning the old basic skills is sure important.
how to hold a pen and write.
They don't write in cursive anymore.
I'm not sure that's a good idea, but anyway, no, and I'm not picking on the news, there are a lot of good things going on. Lee was talking about things at his church, and I'll kind of follow up on that. And I remember first met this there in Iowa Park, and we have taken on the food pantry ministry for the city of Iowa Park, and it's a very important project there in the community, and we have several grants that look real promising to expand that. We've had some commercial freezers and refrigerators donated that are gonna make that possible, and I think that's gonna be a huge increase in our community. And I point that out just to say that I've said this many times, and I really mean it. When you become an elected official, you really begin to appreciate the things that people do in your community. Do you guys realize that 75% of the firemen in Texas are volunteers? 75% out there protecting our communities. Do you realize what all the Kiwanis Club and the Lions Clubs and all the other service clubs out there do? Do you realize what the churches do in your community? Guys, we wouldn't have the lifestyle that we have and the kind of country we have if we didn't have it. We're proud of them, and we're proud of that food pantry project, continue to move along. Other than that, there's a lot of work going on. It's election day tomorrow. It's easy to tell people to go vote. Get informed and then go vote. You'll do that, you'll be a part of the solution, not part of the problem. And it's already budget time here in the county again. We're getting to work on that. So some of these discussions like we had this morning become very real, Judge. That's
Yes,
all
sir.
I've got.
All right, thank you. Mr. Watts?
Yeah, thank you, Judge. I see Robert here, and Robert, I wanted to tell you that and Mark incorporated the part in our note to address your situation, to make that a real JP office
We
instead
looked
of.
at it again last week.
Good.
Right, yeah.
So anyway, that, hopefully we're gonna get there soon.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
On the Barry's note about budget review, something that we briefly talked about Friday, and Judge, I intended to visit this weekend, just inject comment about, was I would really like to hear as we begin this process, or thought, and early up here where everyone has time to put together concepts about the revenue functions within their budget as to what that pertains to. I mean, what is when there is revenue collected outside of general fund underwriting the expenses of their departments, what other revenue comes in, and do they fully understand that, and what is the breakdown of it? What is the gross revenue potential? What is actually the net revenue being collected annually off of the gross revenue? Many departments touch lots of different monies in aspects, and I would just like us to make sure that we are diligent in the processes on that revenue, because we've been so encumbered with our software change that I just don't want us to get drift from what we've known as the norm, because we're into a kind of a no man's land area where a lot of processes had to stop because of, and when they start again, they'll be completely different. in some aspects. And so I just wanted to make sure if we could spend a little time on that straight up so that we understand and have a good concept of, because I couldn't get stopped today. Willie could answer the question, but I couldn't answer the question about, what is the influx on an annual basis. I could tell you on constables and what monies that brings to the table, but because we spend a lot of time working on that. But in other departments, it's hard for me to see. And
You just went over a major change, the legislature, without, I don't think, a lot of input from clerks and JPs or anybody else, completely redid we've always had this thing, you come into Judge Johnson's court, you pay $100 fine. Well, and court costs. That looks real good when you look at that big number. Then you got to find out all those different silos it goes into. And that was drastically changed, how that's being reported and how it's being divided up. So we can look at previous years, and that's what Willie uses to look at for the fine and fee income. And I've asked Texas Association of Counties to do a little bit of research on how that should be divided up, and are we following that way, or we got it crossed between JPs and county court of law? Because one of the things I was reading in some of my own work is that money that's collected for road traffic issues or citations issued for something on a road, that's what's really supposed to go into the Road and Bridge Fund. So we may have to look at how that is, and with this new schedule, and then what goes off into JP security, goes into courthouse security. There are so many different buckets to try to track and keep that separate. And
I was thinking we had some inflation there because you were calling them silos when we used to call them buckets, so.
yeah. Well, that was left over from my days as the chairman of the County Information Resources Agency. We had all these techies, and they were using the term silos and not integrated systems. And so you had to have a manifold at the top. I thought, gosh, guys, somebody went to auto mechanics to have some of that idea. Let me throw in a few other things. Commissioners Beecham and Mahler will be attending the public hearing tomorrow morning over at City Council on the abatement program, which they want us to participate in with on the new hotel and the surrounding area. And I look at what we looked at a while back when that first started, and, it's grown. And that's what I'm kind of curious about is.
This meeting, Judge, is not over the hotel, it's over a new zone. TIF zone.
Yes, but it all starts falling together. And, and that's what I want to, we had talked about, we've not adopted a formal policy on it, but we really looked at not doing a TIF for near as long as they want to do those, because that keeps us away from that gain.
Or participate at a different percentage level.
Yes, yeah. And the same thing, well, that TIF and not participate, because it takes a great deal of effort to collect and reconcile that between tax office, auditor, and the appraisal district.
I'd like to say something on that I think that we learned a valuable lesson trying to resolve all those issues. I think we actually learned how to form a TIF zone so that we don't split properties. I think we learned a lesson.
Well,
But my deal is that if we don't do a TIF zone there, then they're not gonna be able to do the infrastructure things that they want to do. I think
Okay.
that's the problem.
but I think we've got two different areas. We've got the hotel area, and then I think they're doing a separate one. That's what we need to determine in that meeting tomorrow, and that's why two commissioners are going to go.
It's much bigger than.
What is the plan? The original plan has grown, and it has grown with purpose. The hotel, we had semi-committed to doing what the city wanted to do with that, because, to get that, we need that structure, we need that facility. The interesting thing is, if that does well, the developer has there's room on that to plan a second hotel site. So that would, could be good news also.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but I was told that the city was not gonna spend any money on the hotel. The hotel was gonna be built by the contractor.
Correct.
The city is going to invest in an events center,
Yes,
which is adjacent to the hotel.
but
Connected to it.
as Paul Harvey said in the rest of the story, there's also some incentives that will bring back sales tax money and motel tax money back into the hotel project. So you gotta look all the way down the line, as that said. Not an appropriation from the city, but a return of revenue to that facility as part of the mix to make it work. Tomorrow evening, this evening, from 5:30 to 7, I'll be attending the Census 2020 meeting. Tuesday, Senator Cornyn will be here at 10:30 to talk about the Census 2020, and he'll be at Harry Patterson's Car Museum, and public's invited to that.
Why would he come to Harry Patterson's Car Museum to have a meeting on the census?
You know, Commissioner, if I knew that, I'd be handling a lot of other things.
Because Harry invited him.
Probably that.
Yeah.
And because you can park so many cars and get everybody there and do it.
And it's a neat place to go visit. I enjoy going up.
That's right.
Hardly no place.
That was
Yeah.
sarcasm.
Okay.
But Harris Paint will be in charge of that, sir.
Yeah. They'll just stack them up. Okay, and then, let's see. Wednesday, 8 a.m. is Chamber of Commerce and Industry meeting, board meeting. I'll be at that. Thursday, the Dillard College of Business is going to celebrate at 3:30 their accreditation. They obtained that again from the National Association of Business Colleges and Universities, something like that. But that's not an easy to obtain thing, and they have passed the test again to do that.
What's the date, Judge?
3:30 on Thursday, and it'll be there in probably room 189 is usually where they do that. And then also Thursday at 6:30 is the annual campfire meeting, and Commissioner Jeff Watts is going to be installed as the president of that organization.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and then Saturday, you guys like to cook. We're going to, the Kiowa Cooks are going to have Mustang Rally. We'll cook for 850
Wow.
prospective students, and it's hamburgers and
Wow.
potato chips and soft drinks, and
What do y'all move your stuff in, Judge? What do y'all keep your cookwares and things?
we've got some plastic garbage cans. No.
I mean, do you have a big
No.
trailer that you move?
Yeah, we have a big cooker, and what we'll do, working with the food service, that's going to be in the OEC, and so we don't have to, at Sykes Lake Center, so we don't have to do anything but carry them in those, what are those tubs, thermal insulated tubs. They'll go in that.
Do y'all need any equipment?
We're pretty good on that. We've been around for a few years, so we probably need to upgrade it.
Life better, we would certainly.
Okay, I appreciate that. The last thing I had is Sunday is daylight savings time. And you want to remember, you spring forward an hour
Yeah.
and fall back, but spring forward, don't get that backwards because you'll be late getting there, way
This
late.
is the one you lose an hour of sleep.
Yeah, yeah. And so, anything else anybody thought of to bring up?
Yeah, I have one other thing.
Yes, sir.
Saturday, I got to visit with Sober Living Wichita Falls. I guess they're a new startup organization that they're
What's the
taking.
name of it?
Sober Living Wichita Falls.
Oh, wow.
And they're connecting with a lot of our former overnight guests that have dependency problems and giving them a hand up. What they're doing right now currently is restoring an old drug house, making it a place that's habitable and a place for our former house guests.
Down here, downtown?
No, it's actually on Iowa Park Road, so it's out of way. It's not in a neighborhood that would be conducive for them to going back into the drug world, because it's kind of off by itself. So a really good location.
I think they have 3 homes.
They're working on 3. They've got the La Posada, I believe, on Scott Street that they're working on restoring.
Oh, wow.
And they've they put in an offer on the old Denver Manor, so,
Where is the Denver Manor?
on Denver Street.
On Denver Street over there by the water tower, west of it.
Judge, didn't MHMR used to be in that?
Not, no, they were right there on the corner in the,
Oh, that building's been
They're
shut
still
for a
there.
while.
Yeah.
Okay, there's.
Well-
It's
so
the nursing
Denver Manor
home
was a
we're
nursing home.
talking about.
Yeah.
well, now, are they doing that? You've got,
I thought the other group was.
Camp Lindsay Group is doing, is restoring one of those. There were two nursing homes over
Okay.
there that are west of North Texas,
They had the wrong
MHMR.
one, it just, but they've got an offer on one of the properties in there.
Yeah.
So,
But I think if the city's holding that property, we've got money on that table on that Manor, Denver Manor deal.
Yeah.
That's a tax deal that's set there. So we'd sure work a deal on our end if approached. It needs-
Suffice to say, I was very impressed with their mission and what they're trying to accomplish, and,
Absolutely.
They seem to be really gaining some traction.
yes, I think so, yeah.
Who's, who's heading that up?
What's her name, Stephanie? Where's my phone?
Sorry.
See who can find it first.
I'm texting.
Thank you, Sheriff. Oh, man, where'd it go?
That's all right.
Whatever, yeah, I'm horrible with names, but anyway, other than me being horrible with names.
But
I
you
really-
understand what I'm telling you on
Yeah,
Denver
we've
Manor?
got some.
That there's back taxes owed to Wichita County that if they'd come to the table and offer us a deal, that manor's been sitting over there being dilapidated and it could be put into use
Yeah.
to benefit us, to keep boys out of
Well, they work,
the sheriff's
they're
hotel.
working with Hammond Fairview Center, so awesome.
Yeah. But it won't add it back to the tax rolls, but it would maybe pay some of that. Yeah. All right, anything else? It's 11:21 and we're adjourned.
Judge,
No, I'm sorry, we're not. We're recessed.
thank you.
Come back at 1:30.